Welcome to SVG-TV News and Sports for Thursday, August 17, 2017. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. All disaster management systems are set to be in place as SVG braces for adverse weather conditions this evening and into tomorrow from Tropical Storm Harvey, which has formed east of the Windward Islands. All emergency shelters across St. Vincent and the Grenadines are expected to be activated in about an hour's time at 8 p.m. All shelter managers and persons holding keys to ensure that the respective shelters are open and ready to welcome those who may seek shelter, according to NEMO. Earlier this evening, the director of NEMO, the National Emergency Management Organization, Michelle Forbes, spoke with SVGTV News on the preparedness level of the organization and gave some advice on how persons can keep safe.
We actually started a series of shelter management training, and we're starting it today. So we are still going to go about it. We're actually doing the first session in Connery this evening, focusing on mainly the churches and the community centers, that emergency shelters, to ensure that the management teams, become more familiarized with the operations of the shelters and what are their roles and their responsibilities and what authority, if you want to put it that way, they have in terms of managing emergency shelters. Now, so systems have been in place since before the start of the hurricane season. All year, whatever we do is to improve, is to ensure that our systems are ready. It's not about the hurricane season for us anymore. It's just that at this time, we tend to be a bit more busy, and our awareness is heightened. So we will make a decision by this evening as to whether as to what time the emergency shelters will be opened, if they are opened, and that announcement will be given to everyone.
Forbes said whilst NEMO continues to be in a state of readiness all year round, Vincentians need to do their part and develop a culture of readiness, as well as noting that hurricanes and tropical storms are not the only weather patterns which can cause damage and destruction.
And let's be prepared, because we are already in the peak. We are now entering the peak of the hurricane season. We have already had an active season, and it is forecasted to be very, very active for the rest of the year. And we still have September, October, November to go, and half of August. September, October, November, we tend to find we have a lot of rainfall, heavy rainfall, and we saw that last year. So we have to be prepared for these threats and hazards that can affect us. So we live with it for 6 months of the year, sometimes more, and we need to ensure that we have this whole culture of readiness and preparedness, because anything can happen. And I always say it does not take a hurricane, or maybe not even a strong storm, to cause us damage. We have seen the last week or two when the Northern Caribbean had a tropical wave that dumped over 8 inches of rain on a country and saw the flooding that would have happened. And we had that also in December 2013 and April 2011. So we are no strangers to seeing these things happen, and we need to take our preparedness seriously and prepare for any eventuality.
Noting that the current weather system will be dangerous for fishermen and marine operators, Forbes gave such persons advice on how they can keep themselves and their equipment safe.
We expect probably to start feeling some of the conditions by late tonight or in the wee hours of the morning. We are waiting the updates from the Met Office. We should have an update just before 6 p.m. this evening, and we are chatting with them throughout the day, so they will advise us of any changes. We can also expect increased sea swells, because, as you know, the system the seas will be rough. So we ask all the fisher folks to exercise caution, pull up your boats, secure all your equipment, because you don't want to damage your equipment and your boats, because that is your livelihood. So we're asking the fisher folks and those other mariners to exercise caution.
Meanwhile, all operations at the Argyle International Airport, the AIA, are expected to close after departure of Lee at Flight 737 this evening in light of the tropical storm warning for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. According to the AIA, scheduled flights will be interrupted until further notice is given by the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO. The second advisory issued by the Met Services stated that the system is moving westward, and on this track, descent is expected to pass near or over St. Vincent tomorrow tomorrow afternoon at about 2 p.m., at which time maximum sustained winds are expected to increase with higher gusts. Deteriorating conditions with pockets of moderate to heavy showers, thunderstorms and gusty winds are expected to spread across St. Vincent and the Grenadines from tonight into tomorrow. And in other news, a second officer has been charged in what has been described here as the police WhatsApp voice note saga. Last evening, Corporal Kenroy Martin was slapped with 2 charges, while his colleague Sergeant Brenton Smith, who is president of the Police Welfare Association, was on Tuesday hit with 5 charges for breaching the Police Act of 2009. The charges being brought against officers surrounds a WhatsApp voice note where Sergeant Smith, Corporal Martin and another officer who have since been transferred to other districts were reportedly heard planning to storm the Prime Minister's office to have concerns pertaining to police officers addressed. Speaking with SVG-TV News on the matter, lawyer for the Police Welfare Association, Israel Bruce, said the officers will get the necessary representation.
Then, of course, we will and prepare ourselves to act in the most relevant of manners that is crucial for representing the officers in this regard. My intelligence also says to me that there's a likelihood that a third officer will face possible internal charges, allegedly for statements that were made on another social media site. Again, I'm waiting to see how that will bear out, and we will respond accordingly. But the nation should rest assured that the officers will get the representation that they should get and that they're entitled to, and that no amount of charging of these officers would result in stopping them, and I mean officers in general here now, will deny them from exercising their constitutional rights.
Bruce said that while the charges are being trumped up against the officers, they still have constitutional rights which affords them some liberty.
Not violating particular duty rights within the organization, then you cannot have a law that violates the constitutional rights of any Vincentian, regardless of their employment. The moment your law runs counter to a constitutional right of someone, then the law in and of itself would be regarded as being unconstitutional. And so whether or not there are any laws that would violate the rights of the officers, which would be examined in detail, then you may find that constitutional motions will precede any sets of internal investigations and or proceedings against any of the police officers. I mean any of the police officers as members of the Police Welfare Association. So it looks like we are in for a long ride, and it could well be that we're in for a rough ride.
Charges include mutinous behavior have been laid against the officers. It is suspected that a third officer in the WhatsApp voice note saga, identified as Constable Jermaine Roberts, could also soon be charged as the investigation continues. With an increase in minimum wage in May 2017, government has ensured that it adheres to the changes in payment of temporary road cleaners throughout the country. According to Minister of Transport and Works Julian Francis, the over 4,000 road cleaners will receive an increase of $6, which will see them earning $42 per day over an 8-day period. Minister Francis encouraged the thousands of workers who are part of the 391 gangs across the country to put in a good day work as the government continues to ensure that they give citizens a helping hand.
The government has to abide by the new laws for minimum wages, and naturally this being the first cleaning program since the minimum wages were increased on the 1st of May, the same date that VAT was increased by 1%. We carried up minimum wages in this country between 20 and 27% over different types of workers. And while we were preparing this program, we realized that the minimum wage for these workers who work for cleaning roads and so on and whatnot have increased from $36 a day to $42 a day. Means therefore that each person who's now working on the road is working for $6 more per day. So in working out the program at $2.5 million, had it been at $36 a day, we would have been able to employ more than the 4,387. But it's a good number. It's quite a lot of persons to be employed over that period, and I trust that you will do your work well. I hear them talking today on radio. Oh, they know that the government ain't got no money to clean the road. They're just sending people out, and you can see how people catch the tail to get them money, and government brokes, brags up brokes, and everything. Well, they can put their bet. I ain't taking no bet with nobody. I just telling the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and those in particular who are going out to work on the road cleaning program, do the good job that you normally do.
Concerned about the decrease in export from this country, Opposition Member of Parliament Anim Eustace is once again making an appeal for bananas to be given stronger consideration to help boost the country's economy. Eustace, who is an economist, pointed out that on radio on Monday that in 1993, bananas alone brought in $111 million to this country, and said that he is disappointed that in 2016 only $81 million was acquired from all exports, including bananas. The opposition MP said he had a meeting with Minister of Agriculture Soboto Caesar about having talks with banana investors in Europe to help revive the banana industry.
In 1993, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we exported $111 million worth of bananas. Bananas alone. Here we come in the year 2016. That is last year.
Sure.
Exporting $81 million for all crops. Not only crops, for manufactured items too. So where are we going? Where is this country going in terms of our exports? Nowhere. We have increasing unemployment. Today, when we have improved technology, improved way of doing things, manufacturing, we find ourselves doing little or nothing.
Eustace highlighted that there are new technologies which can improve the agriculture sector, and said once citizens are employed, this can reduce welfare service and poor relief.
I had a brief meeting with the Minister of Agriculture. And I asked him on behalf of those farmers who are discussing this matter, to let Mr. Connivat, the man who heads the UK operation, let him come down here to St. Vincent so we can discuss the reintroduction of exports, and particularly whether he'd be interested in private farmers exporting, apart from the general, but initially the request was for the private farmers. I know one group that contains about 17 farms, and they're willing to work together under one person to get the bananas out. There are a lot of farmers who really still have an interest once they can get going in coming back into business. They're not doing anything else, you know. They're struggling to keep their children in school and to pay their light bill and their water bill and accept security guard jobs.
And environmentalist Louise Mitchell said the present way of banana cultivation hampers the natural environment and steps must be taken to safeguard not only the agriculture sector but human lives as well. Mitchell spoke to SVG-TV News on the matter at a recent open day hosted by the Richmond Vale Academy. She stated that the banana industry is one which must be chemically intensive to be economically viable due to the variety of diseases it faces, which in turn damage the natural environment and puts everyone at risk for many health conditions.
Wonder why cancer is so prolific now, and we look at what we've been doing. Bananas are absolutely terrible for the environment. The countries that are now exporting a lot of bananas, they're using so many chemicals to keep it going. That is not the way that we want to go if we're positioning ourselves for ecotourism in St. Vincent. We need to go towards the trees that do not require these chemicals to survive. The soursop tree, for example, which the ministry has just launched the 1 million tree drive. The soursop does not need chemicals. It can grow in the natural environment just using organic matter. The breadfruit tree, one of the beautiful things about the breadfruit tree is that it doesn't require hardly anything to keep it going. It just grows and it produces. It is, so these are the crops that we have to look to, the ones that can survive in our climate, that are made for this climate, and that we can have produce from them without compromising our health and the health of the birds and the bees around us.
Mitchell recommended the practice of traditional farming and highlighted some of the benefits of doing so.
Monocropping is absolutely terrible because what you do is you cut down everything, and so you get rid of all of the organic matter. And what happens, as you say, when the rain comes, there are floods. Whereas if you use natural farming, traditional farming, which was practiced by persons like Captain Guy from Vermont and then also by Bonnie Rudette, what she will teach you is farming should reflect nature. In nature, you have different kinds of trees. So when you're producing a dasheen field, you shouldn't cut down the soursop tree because those leaves will fall and create organic matter and create natural fertilizer. So combined with your root crops, you must also have fruit trees around it. So multi-cropping is the way forward. And organic farming, which involves using natural trees as compost, it's actually more economically efficient at the end of the day because you don't have to spend money on fertilizers because the leaves from the trees falling that are surrounding your crops actually creates natural fertilizer.
The environmentalist said she believes that policymakers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines will listen to concerned stakeholders and called on such persons to lobby for change.
One of the persons here today was saying, when are the politicians going to understand that we want ecotourism because we want to protect our natural environment, that we don't just want it for the tourists, we want it for ourselves as Vincentians. And I said to him that we have a Prime Minister who reads every letter that he gets. So if you want to see us move in the direction of ecotourism, if you haven't written to him, you haven't done your part. So I think we have to voice our opinions more and not be afraid to do so, because I think policymakers actually do listen, but most of the time people are afraid that their opinions are not important and they don't share them. But more and more persons have to start lobbying the government to move towards sustainable development and ecotourism. We have to let them know that's the direction we want to go in.
In keeping with the objective of the Agri-Export Initiative to increase agricultural growth through expansion in exports and in support of the North Leeward Breadfruit Festival, the Ministry of Agriculture, Rural Transformation, Forestry, Fisheries will host a seminar on the production and marketing of breadfruit this Friday, August 18th at the Rose Hall Community Center. The opening ceremony will be addressed by the Chief Agricultural Officer and the Minister of Agriculture, Rural Transformation, Forestry and Fisheries, Saboto Cesar. Two visiting technical experts will make presentations at the seminar. The day's proceedings will conclude with a group discussion which aims at increasing employment and income associated with commercial production, breadfruit flour and products and breadfruit-related tourism activities in the North Leeward community. Farmers, marketers, craftsmen and women, food producers, youth and students are all invited to attend and to seek out opportunities to create new products tax, employment, and incomes as the ministry promotes the concept of earning at least $1 per square foot of farmland. The North Leeward Tourism Authority will host the Breadfruit Exhibition and Festival on Saturday, August 19, 2017 at Mission Corner, Chateaubelair, commencing at 10 a.m. The results of the May-June 2017 examination CAPE showed that high pass rates have been maintained in most subjects taken. According to information provided by the Ministry of Education, passing grades 1 to 5 were obtained in 1,722 subjects sittings, representing an overall pass rate of 91.74%. This year's pass rate is also the highest it has been since 2004, where the overall pass rate then was 100%. A number of subjects recorded a 100% pass rate. There were a candidate entry of 596, 553 of whom were from the SVG Community College and 43 private candidates. The SVG Community College candidates sat 1,877 examinations in 21 different subjects. As part of the STEM's SVG summer program, scores of this nation's youth were exposed to a wide range of activities during the 5-week summer program. Earlier today, some of the participants were engaged in a dining and office etiquette seminar where they were also advised about the significance of technology and, if not used wisely, could be detrimental to one's career. Nolisha Miller tells us more in this report.
Developed with a prime focus of exposing youths to different aspects of learning and development, a number of participants of the STEM SVG summer program were engaged in a dining and office etiquette seminar. STEM, the acronym for Science, Technology, Engineer, and Mathematics, have incorporated a wide range of activities to stimulate the minds of its participants, according to its director, Petrus Gams. As one of its major sponsors, Flow's country manager, Wayne Hull, elaborated on the phenomenon of technology and encouraged the students to take their participation in the STEM program seriously.
And more so, it's more or less a revolution, right? And as a sort of as we are a leader of a company that's in telecommunications, we need more telecommunication engineers. We need more data analysts. At our hospitals, we need more medical specialists. Yeah. So my encouragement to you is to use this practical view of the STEM subject matters and make those be like something that shapes your life, right? Shapes your professional career.
Representing the National Insurance Services, Ricky Haynes spoke on some of the significant indicators which he says ensure success.
Focus is crucial for success, both in short term and in long term. Whether it's writing an essay for school, research, studying for a test, or even writing a cover letter for a job application. Further, procrastination is, as what you would know, is the thief of time. Weighs you down like financial debt weighs down a bank account.
Representative of the Ministry of Education, Aldia Dyer, cautioned the participants on the safe usage of technological devices.
The technology that surrounds us this year, that you are so exposed to, is so powerful that it can either make us or break us. What is it doing for us as students? How many of us use the devices to our benefit to take us forward? And when I say to take us forward, I do not mean that you should become a bookworm. Well, I don't know what you will call it these days, a technology worm. In my days, it was a bookworm. You're always in your book studying. But do you use it just for entertainment? Are you one of those babies whom your cell phone is your babysitter? Who allows the technology to babysit you 24 hours per day? So you don't get enough rest at night, you don't get enough time in the day to study, because this is your babysitter and you need it 24 hours per day.
GECU's Senior Marketing Officer, Danny Lee Francis, advised the participants on office etiquette.
Remember No matter what you choose to wear to the office, your attire should be clean, should be pressed. You're not coming to work with creases, okay? It should be stain free, okay? Even if you try to wear something twice, make sure it's not stained or anything like that. But generally don't try to wear something twice. You try to keep it clean. And make sure it's conservative, okay? Now people, and this is true, perceptions of human beings, people can judge your character based on what you are wearing. Okay, so sometimes when you dress inappropriately, people get the wrong idea, people get the wrong thing about you, okay?
STEM SVG has facilitated over 100 participants in its 2017 program. Nolisha Miller, The Evening News.